Morning everyone, it's Monday morning and we're doing tile. First thing I'm going to do is tile the shower pan. It's going to be a pretty involved process. The homeowner would like to use the wall tile, which you see here, and use that also as a pan tile. The thing about these pans is they are contoured and sloped towards the center drain. So life would be really easy if I could just take this whole piece, pick it up and set it down right there and put a couple of them in and be done. However, your drainage would be all wrong and the tile wouldn't sit right because it slopes to the center. He likes the 3x3 size, so I'm going to take this on my tile saw, which I'll show you how I'm going to do this, and I'm going to cut a ton of 3x3 squares. Now this shower pan, if you want to know how much a ton is about 31 inches that away and almost a full 31 inches that away and almost a full 36 inches that away. And you can do the math. If I'm doing 3x3 tiles, I'm going to have roughly 10 across. I'm stupid this morning. It's Monday. It's early. I haven't had my coffee yet. We're going to have roughly 10 across this way and probably 11 or so across this way. So you can do the math. I've got a ton of little squares to cut. Every edge of these squares needs to be dressed with a stone, grinding or a sanding stone, polishing stone, whatever you want to call it. I'll show you how that process is done. So you don't have any sharp edges. All these corners need to be dressed, the cut corners. The factory edges are finished, so they're not really sharp. I mean, they have an edge to them, but they're not sharp enough to cut you. But this stuff is basically glass, so when you run a tile saw across there, your cut edge is very, very sharp. So you take a polishing stone and you sand it, and then you make sure your corners are nice. So I got the tile saw set, the tray's full of water. I've made a mark here on the trolley to make it easy for where my 3-inch mark is. I'm going to make several of these little blocks, and let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to do my favorite feature of the Mac that I use for the video editing, which is fast forward. So here's the progress I have so far. I've actually got a change in my operation. I should have done this from the beginning. It just makes this a no-brainer. It's very important that all these pieces are cut to exact dimensions, because when you put them together on the ground, they're going to have a 1/16 of an inch grout line, and if they're a little bit off, your grout lines are going to look like a zigzag, and that just is not professional looking. So what I've done, let me pan up here, and if it's not so jerky, is I put a clamp on there, on the square edge of the trolley there, and it just makes it a straight no-brainer. I'll show you what I mean. There are 108 perfectly sized pieces of tile. They're just under 3x3. That way I could maximize each full tile that I cut. And let me show you what I mean when I say I have to dress the edges. So here's how I'm going to dress the edges. This is a tile stone. It's specifically for sanding the edges of tile. See if I can get this to focus in well. This is a factory edge. You can see there's a bevel. Nice clean bevel. It's about a 45 degree. And then these are the 3 sides of where I cut, and you can see they're a little jagged. Even though I've got a nice quality diamond blade, wet blade, I don't want to step on that with my bare feet. I don't want anybody that's going to be in this house. The corners are sharp, the edges are sharp. I didn't cut myself, luckily. And I'll show you how this works. Usually about 20 passes of the stone, and I do all the same amount of passes, which is probably totally overkill, but I like all the beveled edges to be the same, so I'll just stop talking. So now we've got a nice, where are we here? Nice clean edge on all 4 sides. And these bevels here. There you go. Even number of passes, even amount of pressure, usually at about a 45-degree angle, so all the bevels look the same. That way it makes your grout lines look the same too. You don't want your bevels crooked, because then when you float out your grout line, it makes you look like you don't know how to set your tile. There you go. Multiply that by 108. Actually, per pan. There's 108 per pan. I've got 2 shower pans to do, so I'm going to be down here in the basement for a while. So there is 8 hours, just about 8 hours of work with only a couple interruptions today. I didn't even feel like starting to glue stuff down. That 2-part epoxy, man, you got to be on your A game, because once you mix it up, you got to get it on. You got about 45-minute pot time on that stuff. So obviously this edge here has to trim to fit. This edge is going to trim to fit. I'm going to leave this edge here full pieces, this edge here full pieces, because those are the ones you see when you walk in. Those are the 2 courses you're going to see as you come around the corner. So this back row will trim, that'll trim, and I'll cut the hole for the waste out. But I can't do that stuff until I start laying it and getting the 16-inch grout lines and stuff, because it'll make this whole panel, this whole mosaic will grow. And then when I get to these last 2 courses, I'll trim to fit. And the curb, whoa, curb is tiled. And then I'll use regular tile mastic on the walls and bring it down and cover over the top of the curb. Yeah, great. That's it.